This episode of Badge or Burden is definitely not brought to you by the Florida Department of Revenue or Marion County's finest, unless finest means most delusional cosplay cop in the state. Alright, y'all, we're back in Marion County, Florida, because unfortunately they won't stop making headlines for all the wrong reasons. This time, we're putting the spotlight on Sheriff Billy Woods, a man who acts like he personally owns the jail, the county, and probably the entire state of Florida, all while pulling in $215,000 a year to pretend he's an off-Broadway reboot of Walker, Texas Ranger, QAnon edition. Let's be honest. Billy doesn't run a sheriff's department. He runs a political theater troupe with badges and buzzwords. And he's got a message for the people of Marion County. Don't question me, don't hold me accountable, and if you do, I'll just yell about fentanyl until the local news cuts to commercial.
I said for that conversation. I don't know car with just fucking everybody else. I don't take it for
But before we get too deep into the cosplay and conspiracy, let's rewind. Because this isn't just a personal beef or a political jab. It's a real look at how unchecked power, toxic rhetoric, and performative leadership are doing actual harm to real people. And spoiler alert, this man isn't a hero. He's a public servant who thinks he's above the law. Let's break it down. Sheriff Billy Woods doesn't just collect a $215,000 salary. He also commands a budget that reads more like a small city's expense sheet. But how is all that money being spent, and who's really benefiting while Marion County residents scramble to count the checks? Here's what we found. Marion County Sheriff's Office, or MCSO, is operating on a $186.7 million annual budget covering jail operations, courthouse bailiffs, emergency management, and so-called community policing programs, which they don't have. And they're asking for more. A recent request to the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee calls for an additional $6 million, just to keep up with staffing costs and leave everything balanced. Which, if we're being honest, the staffing issue is because he doesn't pay his deputies worth a fuck. Let's be crystal clear. That's nearly $200 million a year, controlled by one man. And guess what? The majority of that money goes into expansion, not reform. Remodel, not rebuilding trust. And propaganda, not prevention. Just last month, the county approved a $25,000 interior remodel for the MCSO operations building and added another $18,104 to extend the hangar lease at the Ocala International Airport, all under Woods' watch. All budget neutral to the county coffers, but another line item in his growing empire. Meanwhile, county schools are cutting $64 million, eliminating teachers, and still approving $16 million for school resource officers. A cash funnel that often ends up parked in MCSO's recruitment machine. Massive budget, minimal oversight. Despite the massive funding, there's little public transparency. Accountability, almost non-existent. More money, same problems. Funding increases under Woods haven't translated to fewer jail deaths, reduced misconduct complaints, or decreased force incidents. Instead, you're looking at PR campaigns and badge waving, jail expansion over justice. The priority isn't rehabilitation or transparency. It's construction and presence. The bigger the building, the more people it can hold, and the more influence Woods maintains. Currency of power? Every budget line is a vote of confidence or fear. In Woods' world, massive budgets signal control, not community care. Now that we've inspected the money side of Billy's universe, it's time to look beyond the dollars. Because even a billionaire with a uniform can't hold power if people remember they're still supposed to be public servants, not petty gods. Up next, the election nobody talks about. Milton Busby's run against Woods in 2024. Why should Busby have won? We're diving into what real reform looks like and why Marion County never gave it a chance. This is Badge or Burden, and if you've been keeping up, we're knee-deep in Marion County, Florida, home of Sheriff Billy Woods, a man whose mustache holds more authority than half the damn justice system. But let's get real about the election that could have changed everything. 2024 came and went. Sheriff Billy Woods strutted into re-election like it was prom night, but one name should have shaken things up. Milton Busby, a former Marion County Sheriff's Office deputy who ran on transparency, accountability, and public servants instead of cosplay and press conferences. So why didn't he win? Because the deck is rigged, and not just socially, statistically. According to policescorecard.org, Marion County Sheriff's Office scores a C- overall. That's about 72% too generous if you ask me. Let's break it down. Use of force. F. Yeah, F. F for Florida man with a badge. Marion County ranks worse than 88% of the U.S. counties when it came to excessive force complaints and violent policing tactics. You know what that means? You're statistically safer being tackled by an NFL linebacker than being pulled over by Billy's Boys in Green. Our next one is police accountability. Also an F. But that's not a surprise when your sheriff thinks body cams are just a trend. And remember, this is the same sheriff who out loud told citizens not to blame the system when their lives fall apart under it. Racial disparities in arrest, that's a D-. Black people make up just 13% of the population of Marion County, but they account for over 37% of the rest. Tell me again how that's not systemic. Now imagine a man like Milton Busby, who served in the trenches, stepping forward to actually fix this mess. His platform? Better training, transparency, and community oversight that doesn't involve stuffing stats into a filing cabinet labeled "Do Not Open." But here's the real kicker. In a county where the total jail budget tops $53 million and Sheriff Woods rakes in $215,000 a year, you'd think the results would matter. Instead, they just handcuff justice, muzzle reform, and reelect the same boot-polishing cowboy because he yells the loudest at press conferences. This isn't law enforcement, it's taxpayer-funded LARPing. Look, this episode isn't a hit piece. It's not revenge, it's not some angry dad with a microphone moment. It's a record, a report, a reality check, because when your county's law enforcement ranks among the worst in the entire state, and that's saying something in Florida, you don't get to keep hiding behind uniforms and Facebook Lives. You got deputies robbing banks, inmates dying in custody, mothers losing custody of their kids over false filings, and a sheriff who talks tough until you ask for transparency. Then suddenly it's everyone else's fault. I'm calling for justice because you might be next. And you won't even know what hit you until you're buried under paperwork and legal bills and lies. And the worst part? This isn't even the bottom of the barrel. That's right, next time on Badge or Burden, we take a short drive north to Alachua County, where the sheriff's office makes Marion County look like Harvard. According to policescorecard.org, Alachua scored 29% across the board. That's not even close to average. It's maybe don't leave the house levels of public safety failure. And guess what? That county loves pretending it's progressive. But hey, we're just getting started. This is Badge or Burden. I'm Kyle Fields, and I'm not scared of your badge. I'm scared of what happens if we stay silent. We'll see you next week. Good night.